trying to change the field and the scope of how things run in the HR profession. Welcome to the second episode of Human Touch. This is our program that we started where we bring HR professionals to interview them to know about their journey, the challenges they're facing, and what insights they might have. To anyone looking forward to joining the field or changing from another course to this one. I will hand it over to Peter, our very able CEO, to take it from there.
Thank you, Pauline, for that very warm introduction. Indeed, it's a great program and pleasure to be among the pioneers of this program. And I take this opportunity to just update our viewers that Human Touch is a program that we recently started as co-HR to interview and learn more about HR professionals in Kenya and in the larger region of Africa, so that we can connect, have empathy with their journey, and know what the future is like in the field of HR. And with us today is none other than Damaris Ndungwa, who is a HR professional with wealth of experience. We are talking of more than 10 years of experience in the HR professional. And I would not like to introduce her because I know she's very excited to talk about herself, what she has learned so far, what her experience is like, and probably why she chose HR and not any other professional. Karibu sana, Madam Damaris. How are you doing today?
I'm well. I'm very well, Peter. Thanks for asking. And let me just start by saying thanks for inviting me in this platform to share in Megashift about what we do and ideally my story. It's an honor, I would say, just to be here, to have been invited. And I must say, I mean, the chat we had looked like a joke, you know, but it's just exciting to see that it's born this conversation. So I'm really happy to be here today, Peter.
All right, thank you very much. So let's start by asking you to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, probably tell us what you like, tell us what you feel about now that the curfew have been lifted. What are you up to this Friday? I mean, yeah.
That's our exciting things you're talking about. Very, very exciting things, I must say. So let me just start by introducing myself. My name is Damaris Ndungwa. If you like, you can add Peter, my dad's name. Most people think actually Ndungwa is my dad's name or my husband's name, but let me just clear that one. Ndungwa is my name. It's my middle name. My dad is Abu used all my years of learning and profession as Peter. You know, as my dad, because that's the name we were registered with in school. So if you call me Damaris Ndungwa, that's fine. Yeah, that identifies with me. If you call me Damaris Peter, it's still awesome. That's my name. I am one person who just enjoys or just having fun a lot in this space of HR and the tribe of human resource for various reasons. And I don't know whether you'll get at that point or something like that. But I am coming from a background that's not just HR, by the way. I know, Peter, you don't know my background ideally, where I come from. But you're lucky today, you might get to know some of these secrets I have that you don't know.
Yeah, there's an opportunity to learn more.
Yes, actually, my first degree study was in economics and mathematics.
Wow.
And look at that. Well, where does that one, meet with HR? But here I am in the space of HR. Yeah. And I think that background has, in a way and in a great sense, also helped in the things I'm doing in the space I am.
Okay. Amazing. I wouldn't tell that your background is economics because I attended one of the webinars that you had arranged, one of the webinars that you are the moderator, and I could tell clearly you are connecting with the audience, you know. In fact, myself was wondering, who is this lady, you know? So I'm actually surprised, and the next question I would like to ask you is, why did you consider HR? Why not economics?
Wow, good question. Why not economics or mathematics, by the way?
Yeah.
Let me start a bit back with my story. I'm a human resource professional, I could say, because that's the space I operate in, and the space I provide solutions for people as a platform. But ideally, I just didn't wake up or start just like the normal way human resource people start their careers. You know the story of most of us. When you finish college, you ordinarily would want just go tamaking. But I knew in the back of my mind, when people ask me, what would you do want to be? I just used to find myself saying HR. Talk about attracting staff. But I went to study in my first degree, you know, economics and mathematics. And it's not that I didn't perform, I did perform very well. I would say some of these steps were very informed by the nature of our economy, because you tend to get to latch or just to start where you get the opportunity from. But I would have started in Mwalimu, you know, a teacher, because I would teach mathematics, you know, ideally. And that's what ideally my mom was thinking. I would just go become the TSC, you know, you go take the TSC number or something. Like that. But well, that's a story for another day why I actually didn't pursue that. I had some particular, you know, feel about what would turn around just being in the staff room. Not in a bad sense, but I thought looking back after some years, what I was seeking is a bit of more challenging environment, I would say. So I learned that I had opportunity to get a job, you know, start a jobs from a college as a tutor. Ideally was to do a bit of subject in business and stuff. It was actually a business I was starting, and you know, when businesses are starting, you have no one single role. You're actually running a lot of roles. So I ended up being a lot of administration, staff managing what's happening in the reception and you know, all that. So it was all about the people more than just the role of teaching in the class. Ideally, by the way, before I left there, I never taught a class. Can you imagine? And my JD was about teaching, but I was just managing the inquiries, you know, people coming inquiring about the courses and stuff. But I just realized, this is not it. I didn't last there for long, so I left. And I also had an opportunity to coordinate some learning programs for youth for another company called Damaris International, which wasn't just was like a small project. But I would say I learned a lot through this, you know, space of learning or helping people really learn a lot of stuff and do different things. And I was so lucky also, I got also an opportunity to work with actually a training firm. And in a large scale. I went in as an associate trainer. I know you understand what a trainer is all about. It's the one who actually runs programs on site for organizations, mostly or people. After the associate, I think I was an associate for 1.5 years there. And then I don't know what someone discovered about me. So I was swiftly moved to research. And you connect research, maybe it's from mathematics now, okay, because mathematics have done a lot of statistics. So we could connect a lot of, there's something or segment in the process of training called analyzing training needs gaps or business gaps or organization gaps for learning. And so I think that's something that I used to do, just like, you know, it's easy busy for me. I bet that's why I was moved into research. And ideally there was to be able to analyze the gaps, you know, research a client very well. Why are they doing a branding? What's the gaps existing there? And then we use all those identified statistics and gaps to design learning interventions. And I did that for about a year or so, and quickly was moved into BD. Ile kazi most people don't like. Business development. But for me, I think it was a little bit easier coming from being in the class as a trainer to knowing the gaps and just telling them this is the gaps and you need everything. So it wasn't a little bit easy, I mean hard. So I quickly moved up. But now with the process of moving up, I kind of started asking myself, what profession am I in now? Because it's no longer about mathematics or economics. So
Yeah.
I realized I need to build a robust understanding about people, understanding about how organizations function, and understanding how you manage people for performance. Because ideally, the biggest requirement for organizations to be able to perform, it's epitome of all the objectives of an organization. And you've got to have the people do that. But how do you do what exactly happens in these organizations? That's when I landed in the real HR.
Yeah.
If you listen to my story, it's very sided function of HR, which is ideally learning and development.
Yeah.
Popularly nowadays called the talent development.
Yeah.
Now I had not to go to HR as, do courses in HR, so I could actually discover more and be able to execute solution in a robust way as a background. So you asked me how did I land in HR? That gives you a bit of a background. But when I was telling people, yeah, I would want to be in HR, those statements you say when you're in college and you never think about them. And I was fancying the way you can hire and fire anyway. Isn't that a cool thing to do? So I'll be the one bringing you people up on board, and I'll tell you off if you're not doing what you came in to do. So that sounded like a bit of prestige for me.
Yeah.
But down the line, you realize just not about hiring and firing. It's about developing people, changing people's lives, and actually driving agendas for organizations. So that's how I landed in HR.
Wow, quite an amazing journey you had there. You've actually reminded me, someone was preaching the other day, and they wanted to become a police officer just because they were very tall, and also to harass people. So, well, that was the wrong reason to, to want to become a policeman. But either way, I hope you never wanted to become a HR to fire people. Literally.
No, in fact, it never hit me that I was in HR when I was starting the journey of training. It's just that you begin to realize, oh, this actually is a core function in human resource. And therefore, you just have to understand your profession very well. And so I had to do this for me to be, giving people the value solutions they're looking for.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Thank you for, being open about that journey. And right now, what I would like to ask you is, one of the hardest thing in companies so far I've realized is managing people. And of course, being the HR, you are the center of, operations, managing these resources, what we call human resources. What do you like most about, working with people or working in the human resource department?
Yeah, I would start by saying their jobs which are a bit predictable.
Yeah.
And when I was doing business development, I used to admire people who just know what they will go and do every day.
Yeah.
You get it? I mean, you just know what you get to the office to do. Because my work was very unpredictable. Number one, I was the source of the plan and of what I'll do. But the challenge is it has to make sense to the bottom line and to the numbers. And that's a big challenge and difference from someone who just knows what to do. So the one exciting thing I like about human resource is most days are very different. You could be chasing an issue with an employee's, health policy, cover in the hospital, and within no minute, you're managing stuff to do with PIPs. It's quite dynamic in one day, So it is not a predictable kind of landscape, and that speed of change is something I find very exciting because you are always on top of your toes. And that makes it quite like a discovering process all the time. You've got to be alert, and that somehow excites me. It's no longer boring. I would imagine I would be getting bored if I'm just doing the same thing, same routine thing. I feel like I'm gonna get extinct the next minute because, what else are you adding? It's routine anyway. Okay, that's my own perspective. But besides just the space of being in HR and experiencing different things in different moments, one of the things I value a lot about HR is something you've mentioned. You're dealing with the people. And I know from experience, whether it's organizations, whether it's a business, it comes to two things that drives it, especially even during this disruption. Is number one, people, and if you're very keen on the trends, it's technology. Okay, so people are in the center of it. We are not going to, wrap this thing anytime soon. We're in for the long haul, so if it's about the people, and it's about them being one primary thing, that's not going to change. Of course, I'm not saying there are no changes and dynamism in the people or human resource, because there is a lot.
Yeah.
But the element of people is going nowhere. It's just that it's shifting in terms of roles. And that also is something that just is central for what I do, because it is in touching people's lives, it's in empowering people's capacities or abilities to do things at a different level, that you enable people actually to give meaning in their life. And that's quite satisfying for me. Another thing I would say, why I like being in this space of HR is there is one thing that helps organizations evolve, helps people grow. And that is being able to scout for the gaps and meet them in the point of the gaps. And that enables them to move to the next level. And the work I do, by the way, I'm not in the full generalism of HR. I have a big bias in learning and development as my space of operation in HR. And that ideally caused me to be able to scout for those gaps and help people grow within those gaps. Because if there is no growth, you know what comes in. And that's what makes me, wake up every day and meet these people and be keen in identifying what are the points of growth that I can support you in.
Wow, amazing. And, some people might consider the issue of dynamism as a challenge to them. But, I'm happy to find that you find that as something that excites you, probably something that helps you to rather motivates you to keep going. And maybe that would, get me to ask you, what are some of the challenges that you face every day? Now that dynamism is not a challenge, what are the real challenge in the HR?
Yeah, because you'd expect dynamism is, no,
Yeah.
who likes change anyway.
People don't like
we don't like
unpredictability. People like
even you'll be
comfort.
running away when you spot change.
Yeah.
That's where we are wired.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I like, it's not like you wake up liking change, but because naturally we are programmed to fear change.
Yeah.
And it's just the way we've been brought up. Change is hard, change is quite uncomfortable, change might just land you in a ditch, and all those things we hear. But when you closely analyze, even where you are, even the way you are today, it's because of change.
Yeah,
it's again because you change some things, including some things that you don't need to be conscious about, like your age, because it's just the way life is. And so I realized, if we do not even scout for change, you're just embracing status quo, and we know the danger that comes with status quo. Now, that's not the challenge, but the challenge is the people I find in that state. That's my challenge now, because sometimes you find you can tell for sure this. I work a lot with organizations, and in the platform I used to serve, Blue Concepts Africa, we meet a lot of clientele in an organization setup or group setups, of course, with a particular goal they're pursuing to achieve. But you quite can do an analysis and find this is a real problem, but they're not ready for it. And that's a challenge for me, because it's you can quickly predict it's gonna hit them, but they don't see it, And when a leader doesn't see it, it's quite different from staff not seeing it. And then that's a big challenge for me. And number two, another challenge is in the space I operate is there's this tendency of people knowing there's a problem in our organization, or there's a problem within the team. And then they tend to think all problems within the team is solved by one stroke of a program called, People just tend to think, tupeleke watu team building, yeah, let's take them to Sagana, Apples, Rapid, whatever. And they just call you at the end of the whole discussion and tell you, yeah, you are facilitating, but when you go down, because I'm always curious, especially with my team, to find out what is it that you're trying to meet here, you find a very different narrative, right? But you see this, it's hard now to move that person from that point because of the way they are dispositioned or their orientation about meeting the need within the team. And that is a big challenge, I must say, in this side of the world, because it's a perception about learning and development. Oh, ideally training. It's popularly called training. Many people don't quite think training is actually a tool for enabling people to achieve results, to reskill, to build capacity, to change, actually to help people change to the desired level of operation. And therefore they just think it's like leisure. I know you have heard about the budgets which are easily struck, and I know training is part of those bad lists, and it's for the same reason. But when you go to the strategic element that it does play, and I'm happy most people are actually learning the role of transitioning organizations. You can't do it without having to take your organization or people through a learning process, because they've got to be skilled, they've got to learn how to do things different, and that's learning. And people therefore appreciating, oh, we are not gonna move until we learn. But my challenge is that situation where we just think every challenge is fixed by one cup of tea, not another cup of coffee. So those are the three particular ones I have a challenge with, especially on my stuff.
All right, I agree with you. I think in the field that I'm in, my background is software development, and if people don't reskill themselves, particularly in such a field, at the end of the day, you'll be sort of domiciled, and there's so much to learn, not just to go and have some team building and think people can just come together and have fun and solve all the problems. I mean, we got to solve the problem at the root.
True. And I tell you an example. One of the things, I mean, even through research we are studying about is the storm that technology is going to cause in the workplace.
Yeah.
But who is the driver of this change within the space of the workplace? You'll find the people who are maybe have the responsibility of initiating this process have not quite seen or crunch that reality themselves. And those are the things I have a challenge with, right? Very soon, even from the trends, you're not going to be putting all those, I'll use an example of talent attraction and all that process, like talent management. It's a role in HR. But there are things that we used to do that it's no longer going to be effective. I mean, you'll be the first person to be shown the door by the MD if you're doing those things. You are the one asking for those reams of paper to print, I don't know what, put in files, and you're filling all the cabinets with those papers. I'm not sure that is efficiency anymore moving forward. And therefore, there is need for foresight to know where are we heading and what are some of these things that we will not be needing anymore and they're no longer efficient for running business organizations. But technology will come calling in that space. It is coming, and it's the way we say change is going to change you on that one, it will do that. And those are the things that you find in conversation online or discussion going on the MD, on the boardroom, asking, should we get away, get HR out of, because they can't quite see it, instead of asking what are we going to do with HR for them to enable us strategically to move, because those are the strategic things that you kind of tell. But there are reasons why, I mean, probably people are not seeing this. And one of the reasons is the principle of change, the way we respond to change. We think we are gonna be like this forever until tomorrow we wake up to a different thing.
And I think the next topic is the bottom of my heart, what do you think is the future of work? What do you think are the trends? What do you think are the major events that are going to happen and change the way HR professionals carry out their daily to day business?
I think there's a couple of things that I'm happy at least it's out there and people are aware of it.
Yeah.
But number one is, I would say it's HR itself, how you manage the people.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard about, is it called the Great Resignation, or what are they calling it? And it's a monumental thing that has hit the world, you know. And this, why are people resigning en masse, you know? I know you've heard about people, I don't know whether you've experienced it in your organization. People who are ready to resign or even, you know, compromise some things, not because they have something better, but they had better make that choice, you know. And it's a paradox, I would imagine, because there's still research happening about this Great Resignation, you know, paradox we are experiencing. And it is in the managing people, because these dynamics we are in, and the disruption itself, including, of course, fueled by the pandemic, I think it has meant people to rethink about what makes meaning to their life. And this sober kind of introspection and discussion, I would imagine, with themselves, they have known what they value most, and some of the things probably will negotiate for, and they don't need them anymore. And so those are, you're meeting different people who are showing up in the office after, you know, all those COVID restrictions, or after, you know, you've changed your work model to work from home, and now you want them to the office. Most of the reports we're reading is you're meeting actually a different set of employees. It's no longer the same people. People who are more assertive, they know what they want. People are quickly will tell what is on top of their mind, unlike what you used to see. So it means then you need a set of structures and policies to run these people. So one of the trends that's going to change is the people and how you manage them. Number two, coming closely there, is technology. That is a trend that we're not going to assume, because it's real. And because of this disruption, you know, there are things happening at strategic level. And one of them is, how do we meet the need of our stakeholders, customers, more efficiently and effectively? And then the question of efficiency comes in. You do not need any more waste in your system. So most executives will be looking at the spaces where they are waste, or they could be replaced by something that can do this work faster with a less cost. Ideally, that's good for business, right? So technology is going to fill in those spaces, and we have a lot of those spaces in HR. You know, those routine things we do, which gets, you know, they get us caught up in the day's routine. We call them routine. You're dealing with what do you call this one when people go for training and they have to get it? You spend the whole week trying to approve those things. It's kind of routine. Is it very strategic for when you look at it in the sense of the strategy? I'm not sure about that. So if there's some system that can sort that thing out, you're told you have this even on site by technology or an SMS or a message, I mean, you will see people checking that very fast at business level. So technology is number two. So any other trend definitely is in, you ask about the future of HR. So there's a lot of things that are going to change, because once we have shifted in the things we value. I mean, I'm assuming like a customer, if the employee has done the introspection, they know what works for them. You can imagine the customer. So the customer has shifted in different dimensions. And so the way we present our offers, we present our service, or whether it's a good, whatever we do, including internally, it's gonna be a different conversation. So if we used to think we will do ABCD and we will be moving the variables that drive employee engagement and all that, you will be seeing a different dynamism, because you're dealing with people who are maybe connecting with your goal because of something different from what you used to have. So there is a lot of questioning about at what level or where, I know you know the popular who has moved my cheese. So where have our customers moved to? You know, you go to have that shift in mindset, shift in business operations, shift in even business models. So you'll be seeing a lot of shift in business models. And I know you've seen even currently some organizations doing some extra inclusions in their offers because they have realized that suddenly the customer wants another extra ABCD. I've seen some local retail businesses no longer just sticking to you showing up in the retail shop, but they even offer you an opportunity to even do the kind of assortment catalog, you know, choosing or even shopping from online where you are and they deliver it for you. Were they doing that before? No. And what has made them do that is because the preferences and your expectation of that stakeholder or customer are shifted. So we will see that a lot coming in this space. So those are my always top trends since 2020. I don't know whether I need to look for another one, but I know it can, there's a lot that's going to be shifting.
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to this topic, something I'm very passionate about, and I keep telling people, you know, the future is now. You know, people keep talking of the future of work, future of everything, but what they have not realized, or rather, what they are not
Yes.
they are not ready to accept, is the future
Yes.
is already here. Yeah, right. Thank you so
Maybe
far.
I can add.
Yeah.
I can add something.
Yes.
Because we cannot talk about future of the workplace without talking about particularly the future of the HR as a person or as a portfolio or as a position. And I think I've talked about, we've spoken a bit about the routine things, you know, when you talk about the functions of HR, we know the functions of HR and some of them are routine, but they're important for sustaining and running the business or running an organization. But the question is, how do we transform HR to become more strategic? And the other day I was reading a research about, it's called the CEO report for something, I can't remember, but it's done in the US on top-notch CEOs running big organizations. And something very interesting came up there that just struck me. And they were saying, moving forward, we are not just going to be thinking about the commercial interest we have in business, but most organizations are transcending that to actually ask themselves, what is the purpose of our stakeholders? What is it, this one thing that our society seeks to grow or to achieve? And aligning all that to the business or to the organization. So what does that mean? We are no longer going to, or most organizations who are proponents of this will be moving to just, structuring for functioning, but structuring more for excellence. And this excellence is becoming more aligned to the identity and the purpose of the organization. And this purpose is what they are aligning more to what is meaningful for the client or what is meaningful for the society. And I know you've had these conversations around climate change and what's the impact or the role of, I know you've heard about the green HRM, you know, coming in the space. Exactly, sustainability.
Yeah.
And organizations who are fast shifts of change or they shift very fast in change, you can see the trends. And West is very fast in doing that. Of course, you're following closely on that. But you're going to see a lot of alignment between organizations moving from core values on the walls to actually having core values being lived within the organization, because it is how we manifest and connect with the society we serve or the customers we serve. So there's no longer going to be a gap between who we serve and ourselves, but will just be one homogeneous kind of a purpose. That is just the purpose of organizations. And that is going to be a mega shift, because it's going to shape behavior in the workplace, it's going to shape habits in the workplace. And that's a trend that's coming on board. Now, of course, to get that, what is the role of HR in this? It's no longer going to be at you're processing salaries, all week. I don't think so. because that will be already been taken by technology long time ago. So what is the strategicness of HR in making sure organization actually you contribute immensely because you have the resource that is number one for the organization, which is the people. And then therefore we're having all going to have a shift of HR role and functions to strategic roles that are more informed by the strategy of the organization. And therefore the HR is going to plug big time to the strategy. So there is going to be a shift in the way we do our things. That's what I'm trying to say. And asking ourselves, what are we supporting? I mean, what are we doing to support the managers who are running whatever with whatever goal? That is a strategic partnership with the leadership as the functions are in the organization. But also, what is a strategic input am I putting to the whole body of HR or labor force you have? So you drive certain habits, certain values, certain behaviors that inspire the right actions to give those results. And that's going to be an interesting, shift. I'm still watching out because it's going to be exciting for us who are in the space of change.
Wow, amazing. So I guess maybe all the trainers might need to advise the government to change the curriculum of the HR in the schools.
It's going to be very true.
Yeah, because
I know you've seen some new courses, of course, of HR, like strategic HR, strategic role of HR. So there's a lot of reskilling in this or upskilling also.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So at this juncture, I know some of our viewers are students and some of them want to know what does it take to become a HR professional, a HR manager, a HR officer. So what is your advice to anyone aspiring to join the field of HR?
Well, stories are different. And like any other person, you listen to someone's story and say, I want to be a CEO. You're not quite thought about what does it take to be a CEO? Because that's where the question needs to go. Yeah. So I'm not quite a career expert or career development expert, but I know number one thing for you to make the right decision about your career is you've got to do your homework. And what do I mean by saying you've got to do your homework? You need to be certain about the things or whether that is what you want to do. There's a lecturer who just used to tell us, if you want to know whether you want to be a nurse, know whether you can deal with the blood on the floor. Yeah. If you can't handle the side of the blood, man, you're talking about things you can't